you. So, as Udo didn't speak German, I will not speak French. So, I will speak English. No, I must say that we are good teammates in the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee. And like Udo, I'm really struck by what we hear from those who rule Europe today. And I must say it's one party. It's basically a single party rule that we are having with the EPP, and I'm afraid that there's no one left from EPP now. But it's almost the Chinese system. And I'm saying that maybe you might think it's an exaggeration, but no. EPP runs most member states. They run the Eurogroup. They run the Commission. They run the Council. So getting close to China. Second, and this is much more worrying, the governance model that they are putting in place is increasingly putting aside democratic processes and making sure that decisions are being taken behind closed doors between technocrats and, well, people who once were politically elected, probably, commissioners, behind closed doors here half a kilometer away. And look at all the texts. Basically, well, they still see a role for, say, a national parliament. It's usually for a couple of weeks in December for accepting basically the budget proposal that has been drafted for them by the government of the member state and the Commission. And guess what happens in 15 days? I mean, a budget is the key democratic and political decision by any government. And that thing has to be rushed through Parliament at the end. Next step is, well, actually we don't need a Parliament any longer. So we are moving towards a Chinese system in Europe, and I'm just only half kidding. Only half kidding. And now this mantra, we realize that, well, you know, I come from business, and in business you get what you measure. So what did they measure? They measured deficits. And they measured debt. I'm not saying it's unimportant. But this is the sole thing that they maniacally measure. And they hope that they get that. And sometimes they do, regardless of the consequences. Now, in Greece, they don't get the figures they want, and they have the consequences. But say in other countries like mine in Belgium, they get the right figures, and they don't regard the consequences. Now, they realize that this is a bit problematic, and now they come with growth and jobs, and growth and jobs, and growth and jobs, and growth and jobs. And I've heard that for the last 6 to 12 months. Now, are we really after growth? And here, I really like to have the discussion with my SND friends, where when we have evidence that there's no link between growth and job creation. That link has been broken. It's gone. You don't have that. There's no link now between growth and reduction of inequalities. We have been growing the economies the last 20 years, slowly, but we have been growing them in Europe. What did we witness? Rising inequalities. So the link is broken. There is a very hard link between GDP growth and resource consumption and climate change, etc. So that's the only established link that we have. So are we after growth? The only reason why you might want to be after growth is that because you have interest payments to make. And you need growth to pay down interest. But is that a reason enough to go after a target that you know is harming your society? And I'm questioning that. So I would, personally, as a Green, I would say I'm not after growth. Am I now after jobs? Growth and jobs, right? Well, not in an unqualified way. Do I want the German mini jobs? Do I want, in the leading country of Europe, 22% of the workers earn less than 9 euros an hour? Do I want jobs at any cost? No, definitely not. I saw in your presentation something about sustainable demand creation. Am I after that? Well, demand creation for what objective? Demand in itself doesn't do me any good. So I would say that the only thing that we are after is well-being for people within the physical limits of the planet. These are the things that I want to measure. I want to measure well-being, and I want to grow that within, well, that's optimizing under a constraint. And so I would say that I'm after, well, I need to have proxy measures for well-being. That can be revenue level and revenue equality. And I want to reduce my ecological footprint. That's what I'm after. And our claim is that if Europe starts going after those things in a serious way, that is what will be the engine of job creation in Europe and of value creation, because that's what we are after. And so that's what we have to start measuring and looking at. So if we have a strategy in Europe to do that, then we will be on the winning side. And beware, China is trying to do that. Right now, Europe is shooting for the low cost. Europe is saying, well, we have to cut wages by 25% in Greece. We want to make Greece the China, but not the China of today, China of yesterday. Whereas China is saying, well, we are now climbing the value chain because the wages and social security are being built up in our country. So China is going like that, and we would be going like that. That's a race that is a lose-lose-lose situation for Europe. And that's not what we want. I'll stop there.